That's right. It's all babyface pictures as we come to light here at twitch.tv/conspiracy horseman. And no, I'm not European, being all I can when I put the mic in my hand, man. And you don't know about the Hamin, baby. It's that smooth gangster stuff that be driving you crazy with my real gangster, Chris Silvio, MSG. He's cybernetic today, infidels. Watch out. He's reading all of your biometric scans here as we detonate on Light the Fuse. YOLO! Oh, too cute. Oh, look at him. Benjamin Button disease in reverse.
That's right. I once was a boy, but now I am a man.
That's it.
A day man. Boys, it feels great to be back here on Light the Fuse with you guys. It's been forever. I know it's only been 7 days, but I'm having some Hamin withdrawals and a little withdrawals from you, Matty B.
Oh, that's nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah. For our viewers here on Twitch, why don't you explain that weird thing on your eye that Hamin and I had no clue what it was?
Well, I'm currently under control from the hacker at the end of Impact Attack. Hacker Sammy Callahan took over Shamrock, or he's showing him his power. So Ben, told me to put this on, and now, he controls me. As far as what it is, this would be from Dragon Ball Z. It is a scouter. I can read power levels. Your guys is raging. Mine's not. So that's why I'm wearing the scouter.
Right on. I could see that for rangefinder and golf. I wouldn't mind that. It'd be all right.
That'd be good. Yeah.
But yeah, man, you're talking withdrawals. I was withdrawing from you guys last week. Appreciate you filling the void. I just have, tons of things last minute blowing up. And also me and the old man are upstairs. We gutted the bathroom down to the studs. So building a full bathroom in a week before the wives come back is no small fucking task from the ground up, man. Like right now, seriously, he's up there fitting the pipes. We got the tub in. Got to do the floor and the shitter tomorrow. Like just lots to do, but obviously you got to stick to our commitments. You're booked, you got to make the shows, and that's what we're here to do, is make the shows, make the rounds, make the towns, and don't want to give you withdrawal. In fact, 96 degrees here today. I was sweating my balls off yesterday out there cutting wood and drywall, Silvio, so I got to wash my draws as I go through withdrawal when we get back here, man. But it was a good show last night. A couple things I would change, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I know we've also got a new email open up for our listeners who are AEW fans. If you're just finding us through hashtags and whatnot, there's a whole litany of free shows at hackerhamin.podbean.com for you guys to jump on and check out all the review shows, awakening shows, New Force Order, horror shows. We got it all here for you. So we appreciate if you're just finding us, because we always got to say, it's not just going to be the same olds as we expand and our loyal followers keep sharing our shows. We're just about to 2 million downloads. I think we're about 7,000 or 8,000 away. So just awesome stuff from everybody contributing here at hackerhamin.podbean.com. All hands on deck as we just keep pushing forward. Nothing's stopping us now, man.
Oh, yeah, boys. I love it. For our new fans, AEW fans, welcome to the party. Yeah. We're going to give you guys an awesome show every week. And one of my favorite dynamics of this show is that routinely Hamin and I will argue over angles, over characters, over what's right and what's wrong in pro wrestling. But it's one of the things that makes Light the Fuse the most unique wrestling podcast on the market. And we're going to give you guys a no bullshit, honest approach to what we think. If it's great, we're going to praise it. If it's not, we ain't. So yeah, welcome. And I encourage everybody to tune into our live stream on twitch.com, because as you see today, you never know what's going to happen. We should do some kind of incentive, man. Like if we get to 1,000 live viewers at once, maybe we do like strip poker kind of thing. So like every 100, something comes off.
I'm down with that. Yeah. Especially as 96 degrees, taking clothes off for me right now is not a problem. However, there may be some fans who do have a problem with it because they keep sending me all the hate mail. So I'm very fragile and that my feelings get hurt easily.
Did you get more Instagram hate?
Especially.
Yes. More Instagram. I love this from the Russo.
Y'all you pussy. Y'all you fat fuck. Y'all Carmen Hamin. Y'all you moron.
I mean, how much of this can I really take, Silvio? So you can send your hate mail. What's the new email that we got here that fans can hit us with?
LightTheFuseHMG@gmail.
LightTheFuseHMG@gmail.
Yeah, unless you're right.
You estrogen men with your bitch titties. I guarantee you, some of the divas has more testosterone than you fat fuck.
Pure heat. It's great. I love when you do these on Russo. It's like my favorite Ron SmackDown review segment.
Sipping tea, eating biscuits, then I get pissed off because you're so fat and you call all these other people fat and your excuse is they're on TV and you're not. Let me tell you something, you fat fuck. What about heart disease? What about diabetes, you moron?
I like how he says moron.
You need
It's
to
a
do.
W.
You need to pay Stevie Richards to get you in better shape. Because right now, you're an embarrassment for Stevie Richards' fitness band. You're an embarrassment.
An embarrassment.
Sorry, everybody.
Well, there's our little Stevie Richards fitness plug.
Right? That's our sponsor.
Well, apparently not. If I'm a fucking, I've only lost 60 pounds. Well, I've lost 50 pounds, but I'm still an embarrassment. So it motivated me. I was fucking sweating. I went through 3 shirts the other days after he fucking, I worked and did all that carpentry work, sweat my ass off, did my Stevie Richards fitness workout, soaked another one, and had to have another one before bed, man. So whatever, that guy is, he's my self-help motivator.
He's your Mick to your Rocky right now.
Dude, to be honest with you, like people are like, what the fuck? And he culture vulture, you fat pussy. All I hear is, Popsy, you big fat cocksucker, get back in the fucking ring. Go over there and fucking throw up if you got to. Then get over there and you're going to fucking chain wrestle some more, goddammit. So I've been called a big fat cocksucker by the best of them. There's no problem with that. And the thing is, I don't fucking give up. I get back in there and I fucking, I'll puke on you. I don't give a fuck. That's psychological warfare, biological warfare. And then I'll beat the shit out of you with my puke on you. So you can have it either way you want it, but I'm sure there'll be more.
I want it without the puke.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's up to you. Do you want to go 15-minute match? Oh, I pulled 15 minutes. Or do you want to go 8 minutes? You can get the puke or you can not get the puke. It's up to you. Either way, either way, I'm probably going to do business and go under anyways.
Can we kayfabe the vomit? Like, does it have to be real vomit, or can you just vomit out some?
We could use that Vince vomit.
Yeah. I can get you the real thing on command. Don't worry about
chunky
that, bro.
Middle.
This is why people are sending us hate mail.
Y'all ski man. But you can, if you want to send me ignorant voicemails, follow me at Hacker Hamin on Instagram, and I'll take yours as well.
His DMs are open, yeah. So there you go. Well, we're back, guys, for an edition of the AEW review. Of course, if you want all of your big headlines from the week, you can go over to the Friday Locker, which will be out tomorrow here on hackerhamin.podbean.com with Ben Hamin and Stevie Richards.
Strange show.
A
lot of OVW talk that drew us some attention this week, and I try to protect our brothers and do what's right, but we still need to talk about the mental situation behind it and offer up some solutions and offer up some open mic to maybe clear the air and change this business instead of saying we've changed the business, but we're still doing the same old shit behind the scenes when nobody knows about it. So that's maybe my perception's wrong. I don't want to take food off anybody's table. I don't want to put a black eye on the brand that helped make me, but I also don't want to be a purveyor of the problem when pulling the Band-Aid off might help it heal a little bit more. You know what I'm saying, Sil?
Yeah. Is this any new developments or common knowledge that we've had for years?
Well, it was the Tony Gunn, Billy Gunn thing that kind of hit the sheets, and he asked me to pull it from there because
I didn't hear about that. What happened?
Oh, okay, that's why that makes if I can interject you, I just want to say that makes sense. The MLR's numbers were so whacked out because I was like, why do we only have 30 downloads? I didn't realize you had to pull it. Okay,
I pulled it, re-upload it because Gunn called me.
I was like, that's weird.
Gunn called me and they were putting heat on him, because we said in the discussion, and they'll cherry pick what they want, that Manby said they sent him a cease and desist, and he had cut some other promo by using the Gunn Show or the Gunn Show name. And even though it's a shoot name, and Billy's wife is doing whatever to Al, to being in contact to fucking tell him to shut it down. And then we went off and talked about it without clearing it with Tony and just talking about what's up. And he's got to live in that world. He's got to live in that OVW realm still. So I don't want to fuck up anything for him ever. I got nothing but love for that dude. But at the same time, he's got to play under these ropes and strings where people control his future, or he thinks he does anyway. When the controversy is where it's all about. And Guns' shoot last name And they're putting in, Billy Gunn's put 25 years into this brand, which, dude, total respect as a trainer, as a performer, as a legacy, as a fucking Hall of Famer. Absolutely. But do biz and fucking help this dude out who's a 15-year pro. It's not like he's some schlub. He carries fucking OVW on his back, bro. And you want your kids to get over. Here's a cousin angle. Here's a something to shine light, some reality, some whatever. And instead, we're playing the same old telephone call from the big dogs to put heat on the little guys to fucking have to be belly blush to call me. I'm going to do good biz because all you have to do is call me and talk to me. And I've taken so much from Al Snow knowledge-wise that I apply in my life all the time that never do I want to put a black eye that way. But however, these things seem to be how they are in wrestling. I don't have as many people who can fucking control me anymore because I'm a master of my own fate. And, it's a fine line that we walk. So it had me a little weirded out this morning talking about him because after I pulled it from the Monday locker room, Beast was talking about it on Impact and laying it out the way he is. And man, Beast has got his own issues after 15 years at OVW and the way they do biz too. And I'm not going to speak on his business because I don't need to do that. But like these patterns of behavior with guys that you've created and then put out to pasture, you cannot expect for that to not come back in a way that's going to make you look bad if you're not going to really change and do business in a new way. And Al is one of the greatest proponents of let's get rid of the old boy network and the bullshit and let's do things the right way and not put heat on people for no reason, which is maybe me misunderstanding this Billy situation. But to me, a guy whose shoot last name is Gunn and has been on TV using the Gunn show as an established brand for years on merch has quite a leg to stand on. So why intimidate him instead of saying, here's an opportunity to do cross business, not like Al doesn't love Cody and Cody doesn't love Al, to do something across the borders, man. But instead, it's got to come back with, how dare he fucking say anything about us? We've been putting, and we will do well, okay, if that's really what you want to do, I'll take down the podcast because everybody's fucking emotions are way too high. And
hold on, I got to stop you. So the cease and desist threat
never happened.
Was on our show or on Tony Gunn using Gunn?
I don't know. Like, here's how it's whatever. I think Tony Gunn cut a promo a while ago. Saying that he was getting a cease and desist for it, and there never was one issued. That's what we had to be clear about yesterday. There was never one issued. There was some big leaguing going, you will cease and desist or you will get the letter. And that the fact that there wasn't a letter is the implied that I'll make a call to Impact, I'll make a call to WWE, and I'll make a call to AEW, and you never get work again. That's the shit that really is unspoken that makes wrestlers dance and do those types of things, And then also further than that, they'll hold a grudge to where I'll probably never be able to perform at OVW again just because we're talking about it on a podcast because of some petty shit. Instead of facing it like men, talking it out, coming up with a creative solution to get everybody over, putting a shine on both companies and the dude's family who's just sitting there on the sidelines cheerleading every week. But instead, we got to go through all this shit. Tony's got to come to me hat in hand because they put heat on him, and I get to pull the podcast down because I respect the fucking guy, and if that's what he wants, that's what I'll do. Now, in the last 2 or 3 podcasts, the business that's on my end, I'll gladly talk about openly because that's my shit, and if they feel some kind of way about it, there's an open platform here for you guys to come on, and because people are like, well, there's my truth. Well, there's only one truth, but there's perspectives around it, around a truth, and how people... It impacts them. And I've learned that in my later years with a little more wisdom. And that's the opportunity that I give to the people who hold the reins and hold the power. Now, will they reach out and contact me and say, yeah, I'd like to talk this out because you're misunderstanding it and you're fucking up my business, which is the last thing you should be doing. And that's the last thing I want to do. But the unsung not saying anything and pushing him to make it go do that tells me another story completely. It tells me the old story of politics. It tells me the big leaguing story. And it tells me that this guy still has to walk on eggshells after a 15-year career and his own name, that he can't use it for fear of reprisal against him and being all the work that he's done is undone like that. And it may already be like that. So that's the long and short of what's going on.
Yeah, man, I guarantee you he still has to walk on eggshells.
Sure.
And OVW, I have a lot of positive things to say about OVW, a lot of great lessons that I learned. However, there are things in that system that are wrong and need to be fixed. I think I learned for every right thing I learned what not to do as well. So just like pro wrestling, as we're finding out in 2020, it's not perfect. And some of the ways that people just accepted this is the way it is, those do need to change. And OVW, I include in that. I'm not even necessarily talking from like a abuse kind of standpoint, but just in philosophy and in the care for your talent. I think that's probably the biggest complaint you would get from guys is just the way that the talent was treated or discarded, or kind of just used up until they grab the next one over and not necessarily get much in return out of it. And I'm not afraid to say that. I hold no grudge against them. And I think I'm one of the few that used OVW to my advantage and used it as a springboard for a career, just like you did. We applied what we learned there and took it elsewhere. A lot of our brothers there weren't so lucky. They got caught in the bubble and caught in that system where you do have to walk on eggshells, where you're afraid to miss a shot, where you're afraid to maybe work for someone else or reach out to a larger promotion. And they ended up just staying there, spinning their wheels in Louisville, Kentucky. Some really, really great talent. So I could definitely see that. I could see Gunn still having that mentality. And it's sad because there's so much good you could do with that company. And I know Tony, he's a great performer. Tony's the man, and awesome. His name is actually Gunn.
He carried the championship, bro. He's not some schlub out of a fucking, like it's all like the creative solution to heal the wound is there. However, the pettiness keeps driving things. And that's not just their situation. That's a lot of situations, right? And if they claim they want that to end, here's an opportunity to do it. Instead, it's not. But that's here or there. And again, for me promising not to really bring it up, we've brought it up fully on 3 other shows. So there's a lot of that talk this morning. And then I just kind of had my own little PTSD trigger of my own conditioning from that for 3 years because I don't want to shit on where I came from by any means or anything like that.
We love where we came from, but there are things that need to be fixed as well.
And I think they are. I heard here's Stooge Report that they're having a company meeting. I don't know if it's at the arena or Zoom to address social issues like Black Lives Matter, the speaking out movement, and how they're going to go forward. So it seems like they do have a progressive plan. The other part of that meeting is nobody fucking talks to Hamin ever again, or else you're off TV. But that's just me ribbing. But like there probably is some of that of watch what the fuck you say. You know what I mean? And people are going to be looking at Tony because he's a top guy there. He's the top guy, and he's probably doing a lot of the creative work and all that shit behind the scenes. If you're at that level in OVW, you're wearing 2 or 3 hats. You don't just walk in with the strap over your shoulder and go, boys, glad the ring's set up, all that kind of shit. So, like I said,
you're right. I mean, it's funny just putting that aside, because I know you don't want to bring any more heat on that. Sometimes people in wrestling feel like they could kind of have control over you years later. I made a social media post about a week ago, and somebody who used to be a leader, this does relate back to OVW, but he was a big star, big producer, leader at OVW that I used to learn under. Sent me something that told me to take down one of my posts. It had nothing to do with him. And I'm like, okay, I'm 36 years old. I'm leaving my post up. Thank you for your feedback. And that's the end of it. But that's how it is, man. People think if they advised you at one point or you worked underneath them, you got to listen to everything they say. And people got to carve their own path.
Yeah, is it him losing it? Because I had, and this is for off camera, discussion this morning with somebody else. It's the same if it's Merc, where I almost reached out and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna, because his new account has 460 followers. So it's really like shouting into a dark closet. And then the other part was it was because of what somebody else had posted about him who was upset. And I was going to like, should I ask him to pump the brakes, much like he just did to you? What would his response be to me? And then with all the screenshotting that's going on, why add fuel to the fire? And I'm just like, I'm just going to turn the other cheek and walk away, bro. Like, it had nothing to do with me. It's me trying to help somebody out. And even him reaching out, telling you to take it down is because he cares about you, even though it's in a passive-aggressive way. You know what I mean? Or he cares about some business.
I don't think Joey gives a fuck about me. I appreciate Joey's contributions and his knowledge.
I know a lot of. I just haven't been scorned like a lot of people have by him. So I hear that.
Nor have I, but I know him.
Right,
you know,
right.
Give a fuck what happens to me. He just, for whatever reason, took interest in this post. And
Okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and you know, there's just some things that are like, that's not the hill to die on yet. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Until it gets to that point. And I've tried to, as much as I can, cut those Godfather puppet strings of the less people who can have control over me and my destiny, and that I have to depend on, and let me play the game even though I know it's fucked up, because they're the ones who can get me the job at the end of the day. I'm going to just keep ending around all that kind of stuff until I feel the planets align, and then I take my shot. You know, I must have got sent that lead writer job 35 times in the last week, bro. Haven't applied once for it.
There you go.
Well, riveting talk here, guys. High level talk as we begin light the fuse here on our AEW Dynamite review. If you have no other further topics, guys, we can get right into Fighter Fest.
You want to do the mail? You want to do the mailbag?
Mailbag.
Oh, you want to do the mail first?
Yeah,
sure.
let's do
All
it,
right.
man.
All right. Well, this is a good question to start off with. This is from our own William Alicia. He says, "Hey guys, this is a question for Hamin and Silvio. What differences do you see with regards to the production of AEW versus WWE? Have you seen any areas of opportunity from a production standpoint that could make All Elite Wrestling stand out more than other promotions? Thanks, William Yala." Silvio?
Want me to take this?
Yeah, go ahead. He says.
Main difference I would say first is I personally like the atmosphere of AEW's production better than I like the in-ring atmosphere of NXT, just because of the way that AEW has the crowd set up currently. They're at Dali's place where it's bigger. They got space. It's even though there's hardly no one there, it still seems like there are a lot of people watching it. Whereas NXT for a long time was doing no one there. And now we see the hockey boards and a few more people. So just watching, I feel like the AEW show looks like more of a spectacle bell to bell. But where NXT really thrives is the creativeness behind their video packages, behind their vignettes, their promos, their entrances. They're like big budget cinema, man. When it comes to those entrances and putting together vignettes and promo packages, it's hard to touch NXT. They're so damn good. Like if you look at Scarlett and Cross, it's just amazing. And then this past NXT Great American Bash, they did this really cool video package with Io Shirai where she's underwater and you see that underwater effect through the voiceover on the promo, and she has the belt. Just very artistic, high quality stuff. So I think like bell to bell, AEW looks more interesting. However, behind the camera, NXT looks a bit more interesting. So I'd say maybe if both could make it a point to really stand out in each of those areas, we could see a strong power play by one or the other. So it's hard to say, but you know, as far as the flow of the show, I probably give the nod to AEW because it just looks like more of a spectacle.
Ben, do you think that underwater shot Silvio was talking about was what they were trying to shoot at Zack Ryder's house?
No, that was the what was it, Mandy Rose and Otis, but maybe they went over when Zach was out and jumped in the pool anyway just to do it. But I agree. Sil has spot on with his assessment of what looks like big budget cinema. However, maybe I'm just too WWE'd out because that corporate feel to it, where I watch it 5 other hours a week. This is just flip on the yellow lights and let's do it that way. And the crowd feels forced, like they're at gunpoint there, like they feel like a hostage crowd, where AEW still has that, even though it's the performers in their crowd, it still feels young, cool, and indie in a more organic way, not forced. Absolutely. Right. And I think they can, on some things production-wise, hang with WWE if they want to. They can. And what it needs to be, even in the small blackout scenes. But I think where they have magic, that WWE is so in their own bubble and out of touch with what's cool and what's hip, and it takes them 6 months to pull the trigger on something that's already jumped the shark a year ago. Like having Tony Hawk in a fucking pre-tape, having Mike Tyson, those are the things that are like, what? Holy shit. How many? What can we get? Method Man? Can we get a hot little fucking? Can we get Tekashi 6ix9ine? Can we get somebody you never fucking suspect? Can we get a legend that nobody saw coming? Can we get all these little dream booking opportunities? The 2CW model, because pretty much AEW is Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, 2CW, and Joey Janela's summer vacation fucking shows, talent pooled together. That's and some AAA. That's pretty much what it is. So use what made those companies special, the dream booking that WWE can't do, and now you've got something that makes you definitely different. And we miss things where they're pissed off about Tazz. Tazz should be gunning right for him, bro. Calling him right out. We were talking about Spears and how even now it's his third restart on a gimmick there. We were talking about this on the locker room, Stevie and I, and how even Cody had to sell him to get in the company to the rest of the guys in the executive vice presidents. Like, it was a hard sell. I'm like, mainly because they didn't want to just hire WWE guys who got future endeavored and look that way. But they miss out on like the controversy, the whatever. The perfect 10 thing was Spears's, and that's why they didn't make him over with it in WWE. I didn't write that shit. He's not getting that over. He came up with it. Fuck that. Right? So he's buried. Bring him back out with that again. Perfect 11. He fucking does a 10 thing, gets right down the end of the ramp of the camera, and there's your fucking number 11, right? Like, give me some controversy, some real bango, because WWE has to just, they barely scratch the surface when they take a dig. You could be fucking throwing haymakers and fucking shots to the body every single week in a very creative way that will get people talking. If they were pissed off about Tazz's little promo of we don't run a shitty house over here, brother, or whatever it was, you're like, if that's what set them off, dude, that's baby food compared to the fucking 9-course meal I could serve them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Why not be on that tip? You have that fucking power, and they're not playing it even a little bit, dude.
I think they're a little hesitant to get into any kind of legal battle. You could tell that they're towing that line. Maybe as this war progresses, we will see that. And for the record, I am a huge fan of AEW's video packages and promos.
Yep.
The promos themselves are more organic because they're not scripted. The reason why I give the nod slightly to NXT is because they have a dedicated team of spectacular professionals just for that.
Sure.
Whereas AEW, the boys got to call their match and then call it backstage. And as you know, that's difficult to do. But AEW's promos and video packages are awesome too. Now, maybe if they get their own dedicated team just for that, we'll see them smoking them. But right now, I think what makes AEW stand out more than anything is what happens bell to bell, because it's different and it's what sets them apart in the wrestling universe and makes them the clear alternative to anything happening on WWE, Ring of Honor, or Impact for that matter.
They're missing out with guys like FTR every week not having a shoot promo, pre-taped, stylized, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Something with them where it is an Austin style shoot when he was in ECW in that in-between phase. Instead, I mean, that match was great, but they're marginalized as a tag team already. There's no edge. And that's what they really have the ability to do in AEW that WWE can't, dude. So great job, William Alessia and the Hamin Media Discussion Group. I appreciate all the news you post in there. I know it takes time to do all that, man, and all of our viewers appreciate that. If you're not a part of the Hamin Media Discussion Group and you're a high-level wrestling fan who's not going to post some dumb shit, hop over to Facebook, join it, and we got all kinds of cool stuff going on there. All-time pick'em challenges, MMA, UFC, watch-alongs. All the shows get a watch-along in real time. Good place to commune.
Definitely. Well, obviously, we appreciate your guys' response there. I'm not watching NXT right now, so I don't think it would be fair to give my opinion on the production standpoint. So let's move on to
it's production, Jimmy Borash and the other kid, William. So
right.
You've seen all their shit in Impact, and you know, like that. There's one thing that kind of kills me is when I see LAX on AEW, and they're like the backup clown dudes, and they can get over and have fun, or they do the slock thing and fucking drill the dude. But after that training day shit they did with Conan and Impact, dude, anything below that, I'm like, oh, dude, you're just not getting max value out of these guys. That fucking shit, the way they shot that world for LAX in there was so beautiful. The way they set that up, And now when I see him anything less, it really guts me.
It is. It's hard to watch. It's hard to go from LAX mowing down a kid in the middle of the road to them, explaining what a chancla is on being the elite. So I agree with you there. Let's move on to our next email here. And I like this email. This comes from Marcus E. Marksman, aka Cousin Marky Mark. I think he's Mark World Order on Twitter. So we appreciate you following us. But he watched the show with his son. He says, I watched the show with my 11-year-old son. We planned to watch NXT after Fyter Fest, and my son kept remarking NXT is going to be way better. He asked me if Sunny Kiss was a girl, so I had to explain the difference between Nyla and Sunny. Still didn't understand or comprehend, and asked further if Joey Janela is gay. He thought that Archer and Janela match was too long, which I agreed with that. He didn't understand the FTW belt. I tried to explain, and he just said, well, now they have 5 belts. This is getting stupid. Why didn't they just have him fight someone for the title tonight since Moxie couldn't be there, and then have both belts on the line next week? I agree with that point. That's what he said. The son continued, he did not like the Jericho and Cassidy match and wanted me to fast forward through it. Thought it was dumb that Cassidy was all of a sudden some great wrestler and was better when he was just doing silly moves every week. He liked everything on NXT normally does. The older wrestlers aren't appealing to him on AEW. He asked why Kenny thinks he's from the future and asked what Butcher and Blade are because he still can't figure it out. He is soured on FTR as he was a huge fan when they're in NXT and Raw. He doesn't get why the people like the Young Bucks as he feels they're small and old. So much for being the cool brand for kids. He tried watching Being the Elite several times and thought it was dumb. Thanks for the entertainment, Marcus E. Marksman, a.k.a. Cousin Marky Mark. Ben Hamin, what did you think of that email?
If the Young Bucks are old, I'm fucking ancient, I guess, at this point, bro. I think that's a great email. I love that you're watching wrestling with your son, especially both brands. And that the kid obviously has incredible insight. Dude, you want to talk about what we really need in this business? It's real reports like that from people outside of the industry who have watched these performers, and a kid's going to tell you the brutal truth heading into the demographic that you want to fucking appeal to the most. Right, so this is a perfect focus group. I'd send these notes directly at Tony Khan on his Twitter and let him know like what's what. There's a lot of gold right in there as how people perceive the stars you have as opposed to how you think you're getting them over. I think those are great ideas. It shakes me up a little with being forced to have the Nyla and Sunny Kiss talk because of wrestling. Forcing that conversation. And maybe it's bad, maybe it's not. Depends on how certain parents will handle that conversation. Some people just write them off, call them the F word, and their kid's going to learn it that way, And then other people will sit there and be like, well, he's a gay man who identifies, as binary. I don't know all this shit. And these are, these are the new ways that they prefer to be referred to. And in the future, as you get older and become a boss in this world, you're going to have to learn how to respect people. And you might not agree with their lifestyle choices, but in this house, we respect all human lives. And if that's what they do, then you want to get respect, you earn respect and you get it back. And that's what you're going to do. And I don't want to hear you ever talking about anybody outside of this, because you might have a kid who's gay, and then your mind will be like, lay all that out there. That's what one parent's going to do. The other parent's just going to write it off and do ignorance. Now, is it all right to do that and to drive that conversation? Maybe that's what art should do. I'm not here to tell either way. I don't think I should be taking a hard line on either of it. Just talking more openly about what it is, and then that's up to the parent if their kid should be watching that show because of how they feel about them seeing transsexual stuff in being put in their escapism, because it is programming to push an agenda. There's no doubt about that. It's where you stand with it. You have every right to turn the channel if it doesn't agree with your family morality, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I tell the people that I work on with my character development and my promo classes, you want to have your presentation and whatever subject or story you're delivering, a child should be able to understand it. So I always tell them this: there should be no question. Within a minute of you being out on screen, the audience should be able to tell who you are, what your gimmick is. And then when you have your stories, they got to be simple enough for everyone to digest. So not that this kid is the second coming of Albert Einstein. He might be, but I don't know him personally. But I think this might go to show that perhaps a lot of AEW's booking and stories are a little bit more catered to that, millennial age wrestling fan that are old enough to get some of the jokes and things like that, but maybe they're lacking some of that mass appeal that will attract children and maybe millions of viewers on TV. So I look at this show way differently than that 11-year-old, but I got to try to think also like he does so I can say, hey, how can I include everyone in this? And as far as the Sunny Kiss thing, man, like you could not have that discussion if you want to, but it's everywhere now. You're seeing commercials that show different types of family situations. There are cartoons that are showing same-sex couples. There are, PGG rated shows. So it's not a situation anymore where you could cover kids' eyes. And if wrestling is the place that causes that discussion to happen, so be it. But I don't think it's necessarily something to run from.
What I found interesting out of this whole email was that the kid liked when Orange Cassidy was just doing the gimmick stuff, the hands in the pocket, having fun. And now he's not a fan of Orange Cassidy actually
killed the game.
These wrestling matches.
Killed his game. That's blowing your wad way too early.
What have we been saying for weeks, Hamin and I, about Orange Cassidy?
Well, I mean, you guys have been saying pretty much the same thing, that they, took away his gimmick and they could have played it out for 6 to 12 months before he finally has that big time match, or never even have him touch, and he could just make money off of his gimmick character. And even to the 11-year-olds, what I'm saying, even the 11-year-old kids, like, what the heck's going on? He was better when he was doing this.
Because when we say it, we know that that's who it's affecting, and you're like, no, the kids will still love him. Well, there's your test group right there. A diehard fan kid who've watched him for 9 months and liked the game, and then was like, what happened to the game that I liked? Now he's just a wrestler who does this and that and the other, man. And it seems like he likes young, cool, hip people, doesn't like older wrestlers, and whatnot. That's something definitely to keep an eye on. Joey Janela, I think that is what they want to play there. Is he, bisexual without going down that road? Right. You know what I mean? It's implied, but the kid... Now, here again, that because it's implied, that's an agenda push. And sure, it's for 18 to 49 demo, but they should know that they're sparking these conversations, and that can be enough to get people to turn off your product based on what it is. Same as if you had bra and panties and whatnot. You're going to have moms going, my fucking 8-year-old's not watching this. You know what I mean? But you do have them watching it. So I liked controversial shit. I was in my closet, 11, 12 years old, listening to NWA, Eazy-E, and 2 Live Crew bootleg tapes. So we can say 11 years old, 12 years old. You were a bad little motherfucker when you were 11, 12 years old. You knew what the fuck was going on.
Parents' house.
Yeah, dude, stealing Playboys and fucking gum from the corner store.
Taking a pack of cigarettes from your mom's purse.
Right. So let's not play too naive about the weight of the world, because if that was in the 90s, these motherfuckers know what's going on at 8 years old. You know what I mean? So interesting, great email, Marky Mark.
Well, last one here is from another gentleman named Mark. I'm not going to stooge off his last name, but it starts with a B, so you know you are. Thank you, Mr. Mark B. Just wanted to say I don't even watch Dynamite. I just listen to the 3 of you guys and enjoy your guys' chemistry.
Wow.
So, Silvio and Mr. Hamin's podcasts are gold, and he wrote this. MSG is one of the best hosts in the game. Mark from Toronto here, ya Allah. So thank you, Mark. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. A lot of people say that about MSG. I've had several people that say that guy's good. So it seems like you're doing your job. I mean, and I just try to be entertaining. But Mark, was that his name?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, man. I really appreciate it. You know what? I do encourage you to watch it, because I think you'll see some stuff that you'll really like if you're a diehard wrestling fan like I am. And maybe you'll give him a couple points in the rating. So if it doesn't make you go out of your way too much, check out Dynamite too. But thanks for tuning in.
All right, well, guys, I think so. And Mr. Hamin, do you have anything else?
No, you're killing it as a host. You started out as a young boy, maybe a little bit with too much fire, but didn't take long to get you wrangled in to get the flow down. And You're absolutely doing a wonderful job as an executive producer, as a man growing in life, as somebody who's striving to hit new plateaus all the time, who's hungry to succeed in the time that you have on this planet. So you should be very proud of yourself and all you've accomplished here. And Hamin Media Group would be far less of a property without all the work you do. So I thank you.
That's right.
Absolutely. And with me and Sil, it's always just like butter and toast, man. We come from that same thing where we did have to train under Rip, getting called Susie, you short motherfucker, Popsy, you fat cocksucker, and over there chaining while Power fucking drops egg white farts on you and he's sweating on you, and then we go and drink beers and have some laughs and go set up the ring and see who's got heat, man. And every time I get to see that, I get to go back and relive those feelings wash over me of brotherhood, of love of the business, and respect for somebody's opinion who I know is cut from the exact same metal that I am and does a completely different gimmick than I do. Babyface, good looking, athletic, fucking can get it over XYZ different kind of ways, where with me, you know what you get when you see it. You're not seeing any moonsaults or any of that shit coming. So I love the fact that we're at opposite ends of the spectrum in our characters in wrestling, but we can come to the middle every time and figure out a way to make it work. And I'm glad that's coming through. And watch the show. Watch the show, Briz.
Hey, dude, real quick, what was cool about the guys that we came up with and a lot of wrestlers that I encountered in that early era is we would all watch each other's stuff. Mm-hmm. We would all ask each other for feedback, and we would ask people higher up on the card or people with more status or more experience. We would always ask for feedback. So if I came back from the ring and you said, hey, Silvio, this was rotten, this looked good, maybe try this that way, I'm not going to huff and puff. I'm going to listen. I'm going to say, okay, thanks, man. I'm going to listen to it, and I'm either going to apply it or I'm not, but I'm going to hear everything. That's a mark that a lot of wrestlers miss, even those on TV. I posted a story of Steve Austin and Brian Kendrick talking about this. A lot of wrestlers don't have that anymore. They just listen to Twitter and their few boys that pat them on the back and say, bro, you're sweet, you're excellent. You need that feedback. People need to tell you what you suck at, not just what you're good at if you want to be really good at this shit.
100%, man. Great stuff. Appreciate it. Give the email one more time so you guys can get yours in there next week.
Yeah, Light the Fuse HMG at Gmail. So it's the name of our show, HMG Hamin Media Group at gmail.com, and we will read your email on the air as long as it's not spam or you're trying to get me to like send, like I want to check from Nigeria or something. Now, if it's from Saudi Arabia, I might believe it's real, but not from Nigeria. But to get into AEW Fighter Fest Night 2 here, just to recap some numbers from last week, AEW Dynamite suffered its second consecutive head-to-head loss last week as far as total viewers. Of course, Chris Jericho had to tout on Twitter for the last couple of days that the only thing that matters was the demos, as they won in the demos. But total NXT.
That's weird to me too, right there.
Yeah.
Why is a major heel selling for online internet via social media to say they won in the demos when he's way above that, dude? If they're going to do that kind of demo talk, they need to have an analytical character, which they do. They've got 3 of them. I have 2 of them anyway. The librarians should be fucking clocking those fucking numbers and getting little stabs in. That lowers Jericho's credit, made him look petty to me. And that and AEW should be fighting with WWE, not NXT. You know, like they shouldn't be putting over that they're up against NXT. They should be putting over up against WWE, and soon will overtake Raw if there's anything along those lines that he needs to say. Not doing those small sells like that. I was pretty shocked by that, to be honest with you.
Well, Wednesday's July 1st numbers, total viewership that night, NXT took over with 792,000 viewers to AEW's 748,000. Give AEW credit, though, of course, this was up from the previous week of 633,000. So they did bring in over 110,000 viewers for the night. In regards to their YouTube coverage, their YouTube numbers were up this week. Last week, they only had 500,000 views. This week, they had 1.3 million, with the most being Cody Rhodes, if he was able to retain the title, at 394,000 views. The least viewed video was Trent's mom driving the best friend to the show in her minivan. That only got 90,000 views.
Oof.
The average viewership of all the videos total 156,000 views. And then tonight's cover as far as competition was the Great American Bash and just more mainstream news coverage of COVID-19 pandemic. So to get into AEWs, we started off with the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, who came out separately, as you were hot about on Twitter about, versus Private Party. Go ahead.
Got a problem with that right out of the gate. And somebody pointed and like, well, they did put over that they aren't on the same page and they're having dismay. That's why maybe they brought them out singles, which I could see that. The better decision is you bring them out together and you show that they're arguing in the ramp. Like the one guy's like, no, after you. And the other guy's like, fine. Yeah, I will go. Like, you know what I mean? Just something small to show that there's something not right with them going into the ring together. But individual entrances, while you have tag team champions, means those guys are individual stars, not tag teams. So now 2 individual top stars can beat your whole fucking tag division, is what that says to me, before the bell even rang. Not that these guys aren't on the same page and their egos make them have separate entrances. They both look like individual stars, but they're the tag champs. We're confused right out of the gate. Right out of the gate with that. So that I had an issue with. And then this match, guys are working hard, big time working hard. But this is Kenny Omega calling it and booking this Japanese style, where guys have to sell to a corner and get ready for the next thing to feed, and they're just standing there waiting to take it. They're not like on the sell and coming to get it, because it's like a double, triple combo move of get your shit in video game style. And all the work that they're doing is going right out the window of believability, because they've got, I saw it like 6 different times where Private Party's got to get into position for these cut-off spots or something along those lines that are going to feed into something. And then the finisher was V-trigger knee and the flip gimmick, right?
Yeah, buckshot.
That's another ego thing, because they both got to get in their own individual finishes. And then they bury both of their finishes because they're both impact finishes that are knockout, and they're hitting them at the same time like it's total elimination. But total elimination, it hits you and cuts you high-low, and it's devastating. He's hitting him with the V-trigger in the back where he should go flying forward and be fucked, and then the other guy feeds in and hits him with it. They're just letting the dude get hit at the same time, so the impacts cancel each other out, and then the dude just drops, and it doesn't look impactful at all. They're killing the motion of both moves by getting their shit in to go, this is my finisher, instead of coming up with, set him up with the fucking
trigger
and then hit him with the gimmick. Like, so there was a lot wrong with this match, and it's almost all Kenny Omega booking as I watched him call the spots. You know what I mean? In trying to get that over. And the 1, 2, the pull and the shit like that. When Omega pulled, did the save, Matt Hardy's standing right there on that corner. Why things like that would happen. It's all just paint by numbers Japanese match stuff that they think will get over on TV. And that match stuck out against every other match on the card that was pretty much worked a lot more properly, in my opinion. And again, these guys bumped their ass off to kill moves, and then the finish killed itself. It wasn't impressive. 2 impressive moves got canceled out. I was like, how did that fucking happen? All right, that's what I got to say about that one. I enjoyed most of the rest of the show, though.
Before you jump in, Silvio, I just want to also point out, you mentioned about the chemistry between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. They actually addressed part of this on Being the Elite this week, where after the whole breakdown in the ring with the beer segment, how it went off the air, on Being the Elite, Page actually asked him, why'd you do that? And they had like a conversation back and forth. And by the end of the conversation, it's resolved that Kenny Omega says, yeah, maybe I was being a dick. My bad. Let's get him together and we'll hash this shit out. So by the end of Being the Elite, it looked like they had gotten back on the same page, no pun intended. Go ahead, Chris Silvio.
And this is something I've been talking about for a while, and not to come out on a negative pattern, because I like the show. Why do I have to watch Being the Elite to know what's going on with the characters on my show? I like the NXT show. I watch it often. I don't need to watch an NXT YouTube show to know what the angles are. I know what Roddy's business is. I know what Cole's business is. So either they got to start showing this Being the Elite stuff on the flagship show in little vignettes, or not do any angles on it. Maybe just continue angles.
A Nyla get over match a Nyla get-over match against two unnamed talent. That's what goes online or on Dark, and that spot is where you show all of these fucking you can do it on Being the Elite. I don't have a problem with that. But give me the best of in the storyline. That's the 30-second butt up that shows us pre that. So maybe it'll drive you to go to, you want to see more, see the whole video, go to Being the Elite, da-da-da. But we're having these matches that mean nothing, and we're leaving out crucial parts of the story that only 90,000, 1/5, 1/7 of your audience is seeing. He's got a perfect point there. So go ahead.
Yeah. It's like they're kind of forcing me to buy another like do something extra. Like if I buy a radio and think I get to hear some songs, but then I find out I got to buy these specific speakers or I can't hear the songs. That's kind of how it comes across to me.
I can get you 10 CDs for a penny if you want.
I was going to say that just sounds like in-app purchases now, right? If I go buy Assassin's Creed for $60, if I want the additional Atlantis shit, I've got to pay an additional $30 now. That's some fucking bullshit.
Well, they're not upselling. They're just upselling you for the story. They're not charging you. But that's bad because if they were upselling you for part of it, okay, that's a business decision. They're just making a bad creative decision of the story sets up the match. That's what's important, right? The business. They're leaving the actual business out of their TV show and putting it online when that's completely the worst model you could have.
Right, and if they were getting 2-3 million viewers every Being the Elite, then you could make the argument, hey, let's integrate it and drive people to the online, but that's
100%.
not the case, right?
Sure.
So,
and then for the match itself, I mean, I'm on a different page on the finisher. I like that V-trigger buckshot finish. I think it looks cool. Both of those moves are sweet, and I don't got a problem with them together.
What if he hits him with the V-trigger, boom, sends him off the ropes so the guy's going, and Paige is on this other side, while he comes off the ropes and he's selling, flip and fucking kill him. I don't got a problem with getting them both in, but them coming together kills the impact of both of those moves.
Yeah, Hangman's got a really cool finisher, and that does kind of kill it because the flip of it, when he hits the buckshot and the guy reacts and flips, it takes that away from
all that momentum is like, and there's no timing on it, Sil. I just don't feel it, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like for me, I don't have a problem with it. I think you had some points to the entrance, so I would do something like this. Kenny's the White Knight, and Omega and Paige is the Wild Horse, right? Mm-hmm. The Wild Stallion. So Kenny should come out to the ring all gung-ho, happy baby face to his music. Paige is a few steps behind. Paige gets out there and says, wait a minute, fuck this. We see Paige walk off stage for a minute. Hangman music starts playing. Paige walks back out. Now he's got a smile on his face, and Omega's, all right, I guess I'm going to smile now too. So we tell the dissension that way.
Sure.
JR and Tony were giving it a pretty hard sell, and I was kind of wondering why. So I want to see where they're going with this. For the match itself, what stuck out to me the most was how giving the champions were. They went out of their way to make sure Private Party got all of their shit in, which is commendable in some aspect from a worker level. As you were saying, on some things you could see the cooperation. I was okay with the match itself. I just would have liked to have seen a stronger heat on Private Party, the smaller team, so they had some odds to overcome. Then the falses would have meant more. But I had the same conversation this week where I was explaining to somebody the difference between things looking a little rough around the edges and looking like a fight versus looking like ballet. And if everything looks like a ballet, the thing won't work. So we need some things that look real nice and pretty, but there's got to be those rough around the edges spots and the things that you can believe in and go, oh shit, I think he actually knocked the shit out of him, or that looks like it really hurts.
Or you need to do, if you're doing a get your shit in with those guys, especially, a crash and burn is way more like, because if you get all your shit in, now everything looks phony. Get one thing in, go for another, and then he just moves out of the way and you eat shit taking the risk. But they hit it all. And that's where I was like, man, this just feels so set up, spot to spot. And while they're working their asses off, taking these mega bumps, instead of just, let's cancel two of them, sell more, like you said, make it look rough, would have been there. They also got to, for just because WWE are fuckers, you got to get all new gear for Ford and Dawkins. How racist is that? For Private Party, because they look like Ford and Dawkins, you know what I mean, from the Street Profits. The red, and if you're two young, athletic black guys, and then both are wearing red on opposite teams. You just got to make yourself look different. That's just how it is now, unfortunately. And waiting it out and being like, they look like it's going to give everybody, they just look like Private Party or the Street Profits are a rip off of that. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, that talk's going to start. Make yourself different now, because when they closed in on the one dude, I don't know their individual names, the one who has the hair like ODB or OBJ, excuse me. That guy was coming through in the camera. He was like, if you're doing the Vince McMahon, here's where your money is. When he was just on the cell, like 2/3 of the way through the match, they did a close-up on him. I was like, there's money on that fucking guy right there. You can just see it on people as a producer when it comes through the camera. So I thought that was one of the most important things for me. I would, if I was backstage, like, there's money on this kid. We got to figure out how.
Sonic the Hedge Rat in the chat room says they need to bolt down those barricades. Somebody is going to get hurt.
I kind of like that they don't. Yeah, somebody is going to get hurt. So do a smart barricade bump. But I like that they don't. When Brody went into him, it was fucking nasty, bro. That's what makes a fight look real.
Right. On Private Party, they just need a little bit more development. I agree. I think Marquin's a little further along. And something that jumped out at me watching these guys is when Isaiah Cassidy, I guess the one with the shorter hair, the thinner one, he was on the apron waiting for the tag, and Marquin was getting beat up. Mm-hmm. He was getting double teamed. And this is something that I learned years ago. Isaiah was just kind of chilling on the buckle. So he didn't have much life to him. So the fan watching him during that moment didn't look like he really cared about what was happening to his partner, especially when he was getting beat up. When Marquin was on the offense, Isaiah would react to it and do a little dance or something, but he didn't give a shit when his partner was getting beat up. When two guys came in the ring, he stood there. He made no effort to try to get in the ring himself or even acknowledge it. These are the things that the younger performers have to learn, and get better at. Those are the things that are going to turn you into a seasoned pro. So if they got those details going, I think we'll see a lot stronger stuff.
Here's the third thing. You got Matt Hardy with these guys. They've already botched Matt Hardy. I'm just like, wow, this is where you've got Matt Hardy? This is where you've got him? Okay. And now he's the mentor to these fucking kids, and they lose. So what does Matt Hardy's mentorship mean? Maybe a lot, but we need a follow-up scene that will probably be on Being the Elite, where he's consoling them backstage, saying, hey, it's a loss. What did we learn? Let's fucking drawing board it again. We need that 30, 60-second scene in the second hour where they're lamenting the loss, and he's got to tell them, chin up, boys. You just took the tag team champions to the limit in 15 minutes. There's no shame in that. Now, how can we get those fucking belts? Let's get back to it. Come on, boys. If you're going to show that motivator and coach, show it to me. Otherwise, I'm just going, I want broken Matt Hardy. What the fuck is this?
Well, right now it's a Hardy party, not when really they should be partying hard.
That cute California shit makes me want to punch holes in the wall. Fuck that little bullshit, bro.
Okay, well, the winner of this match, still AEW Tag Team Champions, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega. After that match, Ross and Excalibur ran down the card tonight. They announced the number 1 ranked Nyla Rose will be taking on 2 opponents and has a big surprise, apparently. All of a sudden, Lance Archer, though, walks out. He's got an unconscious Sunny Kiss on his shoulders, kind of baits Janela into a big boot as he's waiting in the ring, and then he just kind of chucks Sunny Kiss into the ring, and then Sunny Kiss eventually rolls out, and then this match gets underway as Archer goes on the attack early on. They did kind of go into a commercial break, which I think kind of maybe goes back to that Mark's email about he thought his kid thinking the match was a little bit too long. Maybe it should have been dominated more by Lance Archer as they went a full 2 segments. However, conclusion of the match, we see the referees distracted by Jake the Snake, and Sunny Kiss takes advantage with a 450 splash. Archer powers out of a 2.5 count. He's pissed, beats down Janela with some clubbing blows, tosses him over the ropes with ease, blackout through the table, and then count to 20. It's over. So the winner of this match was Lance Archer. So just count out. What'd you think? Silvio, start with you.
I thought Janela did a hell of a job in this, and I thought he worked his ass off. I can really see through the screen. I see the effort Joey Janela is putting in. Yep. I know the hustle it takes, and I see the desire in his eyes. He is literally trying everything he can to make this spot work with AEW. I see his passion coming out on screen, and I got to respect that from one performer to another. You know, he's taken some big bumps. Archer threw his ass all around everywhere. And I could tell Joey's enthusiasm for those bumps and trying to make everything look grand. So I got to respect his hustle there. I would like to have maybe seen it be a tad bit shorter, because it shouldn't have taken Archer that long to beat Joey. But I did like that we got to see more of Joey, see more of his fight. He's figuring out how to be the bad boy in a PG environment a little more every week. Still got work to do, but he's getting better. The main thing I was hung up on this one was the interaction with Sonny Kiss, because Sonny would go from being on the cell to being okay. Like, I remember at one point I saw Sonny get kicked in the stomach down selling. Then a few minutes later, Sonny was just up at ringside looking like a manager, just clapping like nothing had happened. So maybe they should have put a little more thought into how they were going to do that. It just, Sonny Kiss's role in the match was a little odd to me. Maybe Sonny should have gotten hurt and come back later or something for a false finish. I don't know, but I respect Joey's work there. Archer is a killing machine. I hope they continue to put him on a win streak.
I think they could have given Joey even less. I think Archer gave him even too much. And because I like Joey the most when he was doing the Jamin cell up the ropes, that fucking crawl up and his mouth is on the rope and he's, oh, I just got fucking, that's real. Not, let me get in the corner, tighten up for the next fucking spot. That's the real selling that I fucking love, dude. That's real slobber knocker shit. And he can come over and stalk, grab him, and fucking throw him again. Sell for fucking 20 seconds, come over, get him for... Like, they could have cut half and he would have looked even stronger. I don't think they worked 50-50. Somebody had hit me up with that in the chat earlier, but didn't need the falsies. Here's where I got two big problems. And Lance Archer looks like a fucking destroyer, especially against a guy, Joey Janela, who's the Spike Dudley, who should be the bump monkey here. Absolutely. But Archer's strikes and boots are very bad. Like, he had him over on the corner. He comes in to glom him on the fucking back. It was like, tink. Like, and Joey's like, and then he sells down. He goes over to give him a boot. Like, I'm like, okay, dude, you need to fucking get your hand out, bro. Big stomp, ha-cha, on the fucking hand. Yeah, and he's fucking doing the fish flop with his hand. That's what Murder Hawk needs to be doing, because his basic strikes are not, they need to be worked on a lot, dude. So power moves, he looks fucking great. And especially if a guy like that is striking a small guy, he's got to drop him. You can't stand in the pocket and let a guy like that hit you. Here's the worst thing of the whole fucking match, probably the whole night. Jake Roberts jumps up, draws the ref. Murder Hawk's fucking down. Up fucking comes Sonny Kiss, the baby faces, on a fucking ref draw from the heel. When a manager jumps up and draws the ref, if you don't know this, the heel should then get their heat behind the ref's back in a legal way. So I'm thinking Sonny Kiss is going up. Okay, here comes the boot up while Murder Hawk's on the ground to cut him off. He'll get up and fucking shit can Sonny Kiss again or do some heel shit on him, right? Nope. Sonny Kiss gets her shit in on him. Joey Janela goes up and gets his shit on Murder Hawk while he's down, while his manager is looking right at him while it fucking happens, distracting the ref. So the reality is that Jake Roberts is a double agent who now manages Sonny Kiss and fucking Joey Janela and is distracting the ref so they can get their shit in on his guy. Is that the psychology you think we fucking planned in the back there? No, because everyone's fucking stupid and wants to get their shit in when they think it. And on a heel spot, the babies are now healing out on the fucking murder heel. I don't know how Jake Roberts didn't just fucking take somebody's eye out backstage when that was laid out like that. It makes no sense. It was completely wrong, and there's no way to justify it.
I didn't understand that either. I want to see more camera time on Jake too. Like when we see Arn and Cody,
yeah,
we get a lot of visuals of Arn calling plays. We get to see.
I roll right here.
Scenes.
I go, where's Jake? And then I crossed it out because I fucking finally saw him down in the corner. I was like, where's Jake? I didn't even think he was out there with him. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. They said a few things on commentary that Jake was saying evidently, but I couldn't hear those things nor see them. So give Jake that camera time that you give Arn so we can see him advising Archer, or they're setting up plays that involve Jake that aren't just a distraction like that. It was a bit odd, I got to be honest.
And Babyface is getting heel heat. Let's just start there, let alone the distraction things. Baby faces don't get heat on a monster heel. This is all get over for Murder Hawk, and it's unfortunate that he obviously doesn't know psychology well enough to ixnay that spot.
Well, after that, we had Tony Schiavone heading down to the ring, and he brings out the number one contender to the World Championship, Brian Cage, and his mentor Tazz, as Tazz has a big announcement. He's coming out with a mysterious bag in his hand. Now, obviously, me being the wrestling mark that I knew as he's holding a title, I was like, oh, he's either going to debut a brand new title or this has got to be the FTW, because otherwise, what else is Tazz going to bring out? And Tazz tells us that we were supposed to watch a World Championship match here tonight, but John Moxley bailed like a bitch and went home. So we all have to wait until next week. With that being said, we are going to see a champion crowned here tonight, because that is what is in his hands, the true renegade shit. He unveils the FTW Heavyweight Championship, and it to me, it looked like it was the original, like the one he's had.
Well, the original had a sticker. That was the one he had made second round, but it is the original. It is the ECW FTW title.
Right, and Tazz says this represents his entire body of work, and what it really means is that John Moxley's time is up. It ends next week. Fabulous promo here by Tazz. He made Brian Cage a star tonight, if he already wasn't with this, by like literally and figuratively handing off the torch to him. Silvio, what did you think of this?
It was cool for me just as a wrestling fan who grew up watching Tazz. Right. So I knew the moment that I saw that, I knew what was in the bag. He was either giving him the FTW title or he's presenting him with the special towel for him to wear in the ring. Those are the only options that you could do. Kind of to that point of the email we got earlier, the FTW title back then was so clearly defined and we knew who Tazz was that it made perfect sense that he would have a belt called the FTW belt. And we knew why, because he was kind of like the uncrowned champion. He didn't give a shit. Fuck the world, right? Whereas Cage doesn't really have that element. So I could see to a young viewer not understanding it, especially if you don't know the history of it. Even an adult viewer pointed that out to me. They were like, I don't quite understand what that is. I thought it was cool because I remember and I'm a fan of it. Also, I think a few people had an issue with not having a match for that. So that's a route you could have gone to where Tazz said, hey, look, and guess what? Tonight, I ain't just going to hand this to you, brother. You're going to beat somebody for it. Then we got Cage in action for somebody. Yeah. But I'm okay with it. It just might not have had the mass appeal that they wanted. A great promo.
Before you jump in, Ben, I was going to say to that point, he was recently on Twitter over the last couple of days. I'm going to forget his name. He's King. He was in LAX with them. The other guy, not Conan, not...
King Max, Super Max.
Not Super Max. He's another guy. He's in NWA right now, too. He's part of that. He's from New York.
Oh, Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston. I'm sorry. Eddie Kingston was out challenging people on Twitter over the weekend. He challenged Aldis. He challenged Cody. He challenged Zack Sabre Jr. and like eviscerated these guys, like just calling them bitches and everything. So this could have been an opportunity to bring him in to have him face Brian Cage for the FTW title. But anyway, go ahead.
Eddie Kingston's not a bad dude. Eddie Kingston is as good as Tazz was on the mic in his heyday, and it's that same brother, you New York hardcore, like just gritty and grimy. And I thought about that with the Cody Open Challenge because I've seen a lot of people apply. Cody, that Cody made that so he could fight Skrull, which probably won't happen now. That he could face Magnus again. And then Kingston could be on that list. So could Juice Robinson. But like I see a lot of indie guys politic, and don't get it in your head that Cody's trying to do great biz for the indies, Briz. It's all set up with 4 or 5 people that they want to bring in on short-term contract to shine the belt that way. So, but you know, wrestler's gonna wrestle. The kid in the email had a better idea than with the Moxley and the 2 belts and all that kind of shit. I like that idea. I also thought we were going to get Tazz right there making the match, and here comes 3 dudes running down, and he fucking lays them all out. We need show don't tell right there. And we also missed an opportunity with them putting heat on Tazz last week for Tazz to really go strong on WWE here. If you're talking about fuck the world, I would say it should say FTWWE, brother. And I don't give a shit who says anything about me because I got the biggest man in the business behind me right now. And I'm about to show you why he's going to be at the top of this game. And then boom, they come down. And Brian Cage needs something more than the Benoit throat cut. He needs to be more animated in the background, flexing those big fucking muscles, Papa pumping it up, fucking showing the tricep, brother, fucking going, I'm ready to fucking kill everybody. We need more animation from you, Bri. Even though you look like you're carved out of fucking granite, we still need emotion, okay? And that's where he can stop. The rest of it there, the physical's there. Let's work on the fucking connection through the camera, coming through the camera that way a little bit more, and make you the absolute top star in this business, that you could be one of the top fucking 3 guys across the board, but we still got work to do to get there. And let's make some controversy with Tazz. If it's really fuck the world, then let's really get in their ass and fucking go for it, bro.
He looks great too.
Yeah.
He looks like $1 million.
Yep. I'm excited for that shit. And that is one thing you've said that AEW does extremely well over WWE. Impact does it well, is pay respect to the past. And even though that kid didn't know what the FTW title was, he knows fuck the world from whatever, but now his dad gets to go back and explain the nostalgia of ECW. Now maybe they'll watch that, have a moment together, and that furthers it all. And dad gets to explain a little history to his son. I kind of like that level of it that they bring it. Now, granted, could we have used a 30-second Tazz setup of him from indie shows where he might have, because they probably can't get the ECW footage, and fucking show that to set it up even afterwards, maybe not to stooge it off before, but I think we that's another thing where if the Nyla match was cut, we could have done some character business there and pre-tape stuff.
Well, after that, we had I believe it was the 8-man tag team match. It was the Young Bucks and FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, taking on the Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Bros, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Things did kind of start off slow for the first 30 seconds. Pentagon and Dax were kind of like feeling each other out. Then everything just kind of broke out. Bucks launched into a series of kicks. Lucha Bros did some crazy combinations. They were just kind of all beating the heck out of each other. A little bit of a misdirection as the Butcher hit a big boot and tries to make the cover, but he's not the legal man. So that was interesting how they started that off. Match continued on. They had a break, came back from break. Phoenix and Matt Jackson are doing some crazy enziguris against each other. Butcher and Blade double team until Dax makes a save and takes them both out. I'm not going to go through everything, guys. Like I said, everything was a little bit all over. But in one of the most absurd spots, this is what I wrote down. Nick was on the top rope. Phoenix somehow was launched into the air and did a sunset flip destroyer over the ropes to the outside, nearly killing pretty much everyone in the match there. And then the Lucha Bros rolled Matt into the ring. They deliver brainbusters and hit their finisher to win. So the winner of this match was the Lucha Bros. Silvio, to start with you. What did you think of this match?
I wrote that may be the craziest spot I've ever seen. Like, if you take hardcore wrestling aside, like people getting thrown off buildings and shit, that was nuts. And Ray Phoenix, man, Ray Phoenix is on another level. When he did that, everything he does is spectacular. But when he did that tightrope kick in the match, when they did that Rana where he and Nick Jackson are both on the top rope and he pops up, Ray does that kick out of the Spider-Man thing when you throw him into the ropes and he hangs on and comes back and gives you a spin. My God, he's a phenomenal performer. And the Luchas are great, man. So, yeah, I got to put them over first and foremost. I really like the match, too. Getting back to the story of it, though, is I'm not buying the Revival as baby faces, and I don't want to see them as baby faces. When they got in the ring with the Lucha Brothers, that felt special to me. Like, that felt like something cool was occurring, kind of to Hamin's point of the dream booking before. Just those brief moments at the beginning of the match when it was FTR and Lucha in the ring, that looked like that's something that could main event. I would love to see that as a main event. I'm just a little bit upset with the babyface route we're going, especially when you consider like the finish. They had a finish. They were all working together, and then we had a miscue that caused the babyface team to lose. And I said, okay, great. Here comes the turn. All right, good. We're gonna get the Revival. And then they shook hands and took off. I know they're building it to something later, but I think they're kind of cutting their nuts off a little bit, having the FTR be too clean. They're fucking excellent. They're probably pound for pound. They are the best technicians and best tag team in wrestling. You got other guys that are more spectacular, like the Luchas, but these guys are just meat and potatoes damn good. And that one, I think Cash Wheeler is getting fucking jacked. Yeah. He's in insane shape. Their gear is sweet. they're awesome. This match, we got to see so much cool shit from everyone. I loved it. It was an awesome match. I think it should have main evented, but I wanted to see Revival come out in that story in some capacity, and we still didn't get it.
Before you jump in, Ben, I was just going to point out, I think next week, based on the fallout of this match, the Lucha Bros are now going to be taking on FTR at Fight for the Fallen. Is what they're calling that next week. So they will have that match. Something I thought was interesting, and maybe it was because based on how this match ended, but if you're going to have the heels win, why not give Blade and Butcher the win, Ben?
I was like, well, they did win. They didn't get the pin.
Well, I'd give them the pin.
Right, because they're not the prime players with the business going forward. You want, like, who gets the pin here? We need to reestablish that if we're going forward with that. Butcher and Blade did get a win, so that was whatever. JR talking about gimp masks and fucking, what was Marcel Pulp Fiction, like fucking pop me. And you like a gimp there, Tony, don't you? Just having to sell it. I wrote all good for this match, dude. And this is where they could easily get Hamin super hot with no selling and high spots and whatnot. As much as I was critical of Murder Hawk's Archer strikes, FTR strikes are fucking beautiful, bro. Like Bret Hart to the next 2020 level Bret Hart stomps and punches. I love it, dude. Absolutely. When see clean strikes like that, it gets me pumped up. And then I've seen the Young Bucks since their inception. And when they would do shit just to do it and it wouldn't make sense, there was so much inferred stuff. The Meltzer driver with him taking it over, and they split the guys to like, he's working with him. And sure, they were driving it down your throat, but they're getting somewhere, telling a story in the ring. And then the Bucks, all the Bucks stuff was so well timed, looking like Ricky and Robert, Rock and Roll Express, as they referenced them. Everybody was coming in, hitting the spots, but it didn't feel like get into position for the next spot. And extremely hard to do in an 8-man tag where that's everybody's specialty. And all these tag teams, I loved it because it feels like, all right, here's our tag division. And I had a problem with that opener even more because of those guys coming out as individual stars when you're building them. When look at these fucking guys. Why are we telling that story when here's the story? The division of top talent is the story. Not the, in fact, Omega and Page have to lose the belts if they're not on the same page in the next one, because there's no way a mismatched tag team like that should beat any 4 of those teams. Even Butcher and Blade, they did a good job. Big Man did fucking, I love that gorilla press push off onto the fucking knee drop shit. Me and Kong are totally fucking stealing that. Like there was a lot of innovative offense. The Canadian Destroyer onto the pile, are like, holy, when you say, where could we possibly go next? And it wasn't that unsafe if the guys were there, they were there. It was just like, oh, wow, what the fuck? I was surprised Nick Jackson took the pin on the fucking gimmick from Pentagon when I thought it would have been, babies up here. And so that was interesting to me. And I was like, all right, heels up. I'm always fucking down with that. But, dude, I really don't have anything to be like shit on. This is my favorite. I like this. Pepper Parks looks fucking great. Everybody looks great. I'm not saying who's on, because Pepper's always looked fucking phenomenal. But, dude, I seen a lot of pictures of guys who got 5-10 years on me, maybe, who are jacked to the fucking gills right now. I seen Heath Slater on Raw. I seen a lot of guys with a lot of muscle mass in 2 to 3 weeks time. And apparently things aren't hard to get from China anymore. Something's going on in Florida, and somebody's spreading the wealth, because a lot of these guys, you can't just do some gas and hope to look fucking good. You got to put in the gym time. And the side effects of steroids are wealth, money, and fame. And I think a lot of these guys are on the program right now, dude.
We'll be seeing some new Johnny Bravo documentaries here.
Shit, right?
Behind the gym.
Well, whatever, bro.
I didn't give them their proper due, but I do want to point out Young Bucks were phenomenal in this. They're a great tag team. I was just more thinking about the fact of the story between the Bucks and Revival being too baby-facey for my taste.
I agree. They didn't get nothing out of the Revival that they should have, bro. And we're already down that road. There's no going back. You know what I mean? It's too late for that. Because all that heat, you want to talk about all the elite, what was cool is when it was the Young Bucks and 2CW 2-3 years before there was an AEW, and they were being the elite, and it was fuck the Revival and Cody and them as like fire and shoot shots, but you can tell behind the scenes they good brothered each other, even when one was in WWE, and they let that play out on camera. We're over in the industry, we're the cool good brothers, and we fucking do this instead of really coming in and being like, the Revival's here, fuck the Revival, fuck WWE, you're not here, oh, we're here. We talk to Khan, not you. You don't tell us what to, and like, we had no heat really out of the gate that could have been that real internet heat going back. Instead, we got to sit down in a hotel lobby where dudes come running in to fight FTR, and it was just all hokey shit. You know what I mean? Just a rough miss out of the gate on what we could have gotten. We left a lot of money on the table, max value wise, with that.
They need Brett and Sean heat.
Yeah.
That's what makes this angle work.
You got it.
Well, after that, I have an interesting question for you based on this segment. So Big Swole tries to enter the arena, but she is stopped by security. She served papers and tell her that she has been suspended for her conduct last week against Britt Baker. And of course, Swole's livid, walks off ranting about how they could have given her a phone call because she drove 3 hours to be there. So Ben and Silvio, you guys have been in locker rooms. Have you ever seen a company rib a wrestler or kind of stick it to him by not calling them on the phone and making them show up before they're told they have to go home?
Yep. Yeah. I've seen them call people who turned out not to be booked. I've seen people get invited to TV only to be told to leave the building, sometimes for not doing anything wrong. Just, hey, we changed our mind. You're not used tonight and you got to leave now. So you see a lot of crazy shit like that. Swole cut a great promo though. I loved it. Her attitude, her verbiage, it was real. Really cool. I like.
Was this supposed to be a rib? Real. Like, was this supposed to be like an on-screen rib they were trying to do, or am I reading into it too much?
Maybe reading into it.
I think into it too much. I like that she puts over the rail. I didn't drive 3.5 hours to not be here, bitch. And then she goes into the arena later and with the servant of the papers and throws it into. We'll cover both these. Rebel's face, and Rebel sells huge, but it goes. I couldn't tell on the cut if it actually hit Britt Baker. Like it reflects off of. It ricochets off a Rebel and just barely did. And then she goes into the huge sell, you know, like, oh, like just getting tapped by a car and selling for it. I thought that shit was great, dude. But Big Swole looks sexy, looks jacked. And I didn't like, not that I'm here to tell any African-American how to play their character of a stereotype or whatnot. But there's a big jacked security guy, black guy. And she's like, you big cornbread biscuit eating son of a bitch, back up. Like, that's a little bit too world star for me, you know what I mean, going in on it. Maybe not. Whatever.
Maybe she should have treaded a little lighter on that, you think?
I don't know. Like I say, is it for fucking the white guy who plays an Arab Muslim stereotype to tell a black woman how she needs to act talking to another black man and a stupid little throwaway line about some Southern biscuit cornbread sucking motherfucker? Probably not, and that's stupid of me to even bring it up, but like it's small things like that where the focus is on the Britt Baker spot, but now I'm thinking of some weird race thing where they're doing a not minstrel, but like it's just, you know, it's very cartoony and very like black stereotype of what they think they should be performing at instead of doing something real, because the comedy's about to come and it's not right there. Yours is the serious part. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I tell you one thing, it was believable. Every word she said, and this is what separates good and bad promos. Everything she said, she looked like she meant,
yes.
Whether she did or she didn't. So solid work on that. That's what I want. That's all I want out of my promos.
Yep.
Is to look like the people actually believe what they're saying.
Commit to the bit. You've heard me say that 100 times in Rip's class, dude. And that's what it is. Even if the ship is going down and it's sucking, you fucking go, this sucks. Yeah, let's do it more. If it feels weird, do it more. And it was very believable, even if it was supposed to end up absurd. That the believability of her commitment made the absurdity punchline that much funnier.
Sure.
Try to go blind with that thing on my eye there. So speaking of papers, you mentioned throwing the papers, and I mean, I'm going to give Being the Elite some credit this week. They started off the show, they played off the gimmick from the previous week with Brody Lee telling Uno to throw the papers in his face. Well, they started off Being the Elite this week, a quick 30 seconds where Uno's on the phone. He goes, you want me to do what? Okay. And then he puts the phone down and he throws the papers in his face.
Why is that shit not on TV, bro?
I know.
Those are the money segs. And now here we have Nyla versus two girls who look green, and now we're not all elite wrestling, we're social justice wrestling, and here's two indie girls who one's not body ready or strike ready for the show to be feeder, and like that's your AEW dark segment, dude. Not all of your fucking content. And Nyla did a good job with those girls. There was nothing super dangerous and all that, and it got over the business of what's her name from Japan, their champ. Sheeta. You know, to get that and further the storyline going into the next pay-per-view, sure. But I would way rather see all that other stuff, dude, than this. Because you bring out two girls versus her in a squash, him in a squash. What are you going to do? And JR, again, getting his shit in. Boy, the NFL like to have a fella like that giving spears. Like, you know, like still driving fucking, you know, the old school sexuality. I love that fucking kind of misgenerational shit, dude. But it did good biz, and it was one of Nyla's better showings here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the quick squash match, just to recap it here. Walked around the ring, destroyed both women with some suplexes, slams, a big boot, giant spear, powerbombed one person, powerbombed the other girl on top of her. Match was over. Winner Nyla Rose. And then afterwards is where I guess maybe more the business was done as she cut the promo, now being the number one contender. She says that everybody in AEW, I actually like this, that she pointed this out. Everybody in AEW's got a manager, so I'm going to go get a manager too. She says that she's found herself a manager, although she's not ready to tell us who it is. And she says Cody has Arn Anderson. He's a champion. Moxley found Tazz. Cage found Tazz, and he's already a champion. And it's just a matter of time that she will be the AEW World's Women's Champion once again. So pretty good.
Who are you bringing in, Sil? Who are you bringing in?
I don't know. First thought that came to mind was Medusa, but I'm pretty sure she's inked up. I'm not really sure. And a part of me was thinking, I wonder if they even know yet.
Tara? Victoria? They should bring her in.
Could be. Or Kong.
Well, Kongo, I mean, she's already technically an active wrestler, though, right? I mean, unless they're going to align her.
I think she's busy, too.
Yeah.
That's a tough fucking call, man.
Right?
That is a tough call. Who's available? Who's viable? You know?
I think she would be best suited with like a Harvey Whippleman, Jimmy Hart-esque type of manager.
I agree with that, dude. I agree. Jimmy Hart wouldn't be a fucking bad idea, to be honest with you, dude. Jimmy Hart with a Nyla jacket, reinvented. It could get over. But yeah, let us know. Hit us up at like the fuse HMG at gmail.com. Who would you guys pick as Nyla Rose's manager? Definitely interested in some creative suggestions out there.
There you go. I will say Nyla did a fantastic job in this. She, her presence was great. Her physicality was great. I could definitely see the improvements that Nyla's made in these less than 1 year that the show's been on the air. So I got to give Nyla props for that. And also those two inexperienced girls in the match, I thought they held their own. I pointed this out when I was watching it. They did a good job getting the business that they were supposed to do, which is be in the right place at the right time and make Nyla look good.
The tall girl tags out because of fear, comes in trepidatious, quick go behind, still gets outpowered, and she's got a hell of a frame on her too, man. That girl's a tall drink of water, no doubt.
Yeah, so very good stuff on Nyla's end, making her look strong. On a pay-per-view, I don't necessarily want to see an enhancement match, so I think it would have been cooler if it was built like that, like Nyla's doing a challenge kind of thing, beats one, beats the other. Who else you got? Then we get a babyface out to have a competitive, little short, exciting match. Nyla wins or Nyla loses, and then she could blame the other two matches if she loses. Just didn't feel like enough spectacle to be on a pay-per-view, but standalone segment to get Nyla over, it certainly served its purpose.
After that, then we are backstage once again with Colt Cabana now, and he's being worked on by the doctor. Jesus Christ, he had a huge, massive bruising hematoma that they just showed.
Is that a reality? Is it makeup? I did not understand what was happening here.
I gotta believe it was makeup. There's no way they'd let you work with that, bro. Right?
And I feel like Colt is an old school brother. He'd be like, "No, I'm staying home tonight."
And they taped it up, and like he sold it through the whole match. So it's good. Dude, they've got. I'll put it over that fucking Rebel is a professional makeup artist. I can actually do good stagecraft bruises from when I used to have to, practice in college when we had that type of shit. So whoever did it, if it is makeup, looks super real. These are the great segments that I'm talking about. Like I could have used, that Dark Order paper in the face segment and this. And my thing of the Nyla comment is not cutting her match because she sucks or what have you. I just want to see. I think the format, that was the time of what could have gone, and we could have got 3 entertainment segments that would have expanded our business in a better way than using our time that way.
Well, I liked how this segment ends as Brody Lee tells him he expects him to still go out and do his job, and Colt simply says, "Yes, Mr. Brody." I liked that. A nice little touch. I'm really liking this slow turn here for Colt Cabana as he's getting made into a bad guy, if you will. I'm enjoying the story.
But he's having excitement after he wins, and they feed him the win, and he's looking good. He's working his ass off in the gym too. It's the best I've ever seen Colt look.
Well, I like how they put it over at the end where JR or either JR or Shivani said Colt looks like he's confused whether he should, celebrate or not, because that's not what the Dark Order does. They're more business like. So you kind of even saw Colt struggling a little bit there at the end, wanting to celebrate, but also realizing that, this is not the time or place for me to do it. Well, anyway, the match, of course,
I liked the visual of the guy. I didn't think those guys took away from being up there either. Number 7 and player Uno, and then the other guys. And that Grayson dude worked his fucking ass off in this match. Like,
he's good, man.
He reminds me of Eric in the Vikings. Those dudes look just like each other, and they work a lot like each other as well. Right? Is Eric? That's not Warbeard Hansen.
I know you're talking about Rowan. No, not Rowan. I know Rowe. Raymond Rowe.
Yeah, the one who's married to Sarah Logan. But yeah, dude, that's again, this was another what could be shitty 6 match. Very enjoyable, no botches. Brody going into the fucking gates. And I was thinking about that. It was somebody put earlier, Sonic the Hedgehog is like they need to bolt their gates down, because it is dangerous going into gates like that, especially if there's a crowd there. But I think about 2CW days, and Brody's former 2CW champion, and our fans are as diehard and hardcore as the original ECW fans are. They were so conditioned, Silvio, like this, that when gate spots were coming, because all the front rowers, they would go to every show. They'd buy out every show. They know that Jack Trades was coming over when a spot was coming to fucking grab onto the gate. And if they knew it was setting up and guys were fighting on the outside, they'll put their feet on the bottom of the fucking gate to stabilize it for when a guy goes into it. That's how fucking hardcore those Smart fans are at 2CW. I've never seen or heard of any other fans doing that, where they're involved with the show. They're believing everything that's going on, but they know because of Trades is conditioning them that it's safer for those guys if the gate ain't moving and nobody's going to get hurt liability-wise, and they put their feet on it, and the guy hits it. So they're part of the show, smartened up, but they're still on the other side. Dude, that shit always blew me away, and I forgot about it till I watched him go into the gate last night. Very cool stuff.
So as you mentioned, the whole Dark Order was standing on the entrance ramp, giving kind of an ominous feel to the match itself. They go into a break. They come back from break. Colt is charging the corner, but gets kicked right in his injured area, which is, I guess, his entire side, if you will. Brody gets a tag. He nearly turns Kaz inside out with the big boot, sets up for the powerbomb. He gets Kaz free and tags in Daniels. The two try to take the big man down, but he nails all 3 with boots and heavy punches. Grayson then gets thrown on the top rope into a cutter from Kaz. As he begins to rally, Daniels hits a top rope suicida through Brody on the floor, then rolls back in with a sunset flip powerbomb on Grayson. And then the conclusion of the match, we see the best moonsault ever connects, but Cabana makes the save. And then Brody hits Daniels with the discus lariat and then hands the pin to Colt for Colt to get the victory.
This has got to be like Daniels' 26th year, 27th year.
Something like that.
I remember watching him in Windy City Pro in the early fucking 90s, bro. Like, and I met Colt at MCW 2000. And fucking when he was super, like he was just out of high school, man, and how small he was. And Ace Steel was champ on that show. It was fucking tiny little ring in Joe's on Weed Street. But to see how far they've come and to be able to tell that story, I think, again, we're playing out the pattern. The pattern is he's still a babyface. We're trying to recruit him. And we're giving him the wins, making him feel good. He doesn't have to be evil Colt Cabana. I think they missed a spot, though, at the end where those guys could have split and Colt's like looking at him, selling up, and they all pat him on the back, you know what I mean, afterwards, and they all go out behind him. And Colt has to look like, all right, yeah, I guess these are my dudes now, where he's still a little torn, but like it really needs to be that Scientology Sea Org feeling. And they're very close to it. There's just a couple little details and tune-ups they could do on that kind of shit, man. But I like the shit out of this match too.
Colt Cabana is a brilliant storyteller, and Brody has been to the height of the industry, so he understands this. This is one of those things that AEW does better than anyone in the business right now, is they put these stories and matchups together that legitimately have you interested. If you take the time to follow the product, they are great at putting stories that people care about. We cared deeply about that when they started telling the Omega and Hangman story. That was our favorite. Now this thing with Cabana and Brody that's been stretched out for a while. We love that. You have intrigue for where the best friends could go with the mom and, dynamic. They're really awesome at giving us these stories. The match, man, one thing that jumped out at me is during the match, Evil Uno is in the middle of a stage shot. And I just thought, man, he went from being the front man of the group to being the middle guy in the stage shot. So I don't know how he reacts to that. I don't know what they're going to do.
He's kind of fucked with COVID coming from Canada. They got shut down with that. The other part of that too is
I would have noticed if I was a performer. I would have noticed.
They also are boys with those guys, and that's kind of how they got gigs, being the indie darlings out of the gate. Then that thing was dying on the vine. Who's it going to be? Matt Hardy? Who's it going to be? Chris Daniels? Okay, we'll put Brody Lee in there. He'll do good business with you. And
Brody's helped. Brody's made it work.
Absolutely. And, I like the guy. I've worked a lot of shows with Super Smash Brothers or in 2CW. Always great dudes. But he needs to fucking understand you got to be in better shape, dude. Like, you've had 9 months. Like, how much better a shape are you in from when you first got the call? And that shows why you might be standing in the middle of a fucking stage picture in the back and somebody else took your spot as the top guy. Because if you were really coming to it with everything and to get it all over, and they might have taken away from X amount of times, you're not going to go, no, that's mine, because you might be gone. Right. There are no small parts, only small players, I guess. But that does got to sting to some degree. I'd be trying to come up with creative ways for online for me to figure out how I still fit into this and can do something to facilitate. Maybe we need to see him conducting like those interviews. What do they call it? Like going clear interviews with Colt Cabana, where he's sitting down.
Auditing.
He's the auditing. Thank you. That's what it was. And they have one of the fucking machines and everything from that, and he's the one who's doing it, man. That'd be a good spot for him to fit in as the mental torture master that way,
Sure. This is one of those matches that just goes to show how important storytelling was.
Absolutely.
We got some cool stuff we got the cool moves from SCU, but it told a bigger story. One thing I want to ask you guys, Scorpio Sky, it just seemed like he kind of came out of nowhere into this match. What's up with Scorpio Sky? Where's he been? What happened to the video packages? What's the deal?
And they put him over again. I don't know if he had a little injury or if it was something where maybe he was COVID positive. And it didn't leak out, or or
he got in trouble for posing with Johnny Mundo on a boat with their shirts off. I mean, I don't know.
Could be one of 1,000 things. I don't know, because they had him on the fucking rocket.
He was going up, right?
Yeah, and he was killing it as a baby face, And dude, it's just got to be a good feeling. Like when you're Brody and those guys and looking at the sheet, and when you get there and like, oh, we got Daniels Kazarian and fucking him up, night off, bro. Like you couldn't ask for fucking like, oh, this is gonna be exactly what I dream about sometimes, and not having to work my ass off to get somebody over. And we're doing story, so we already know the finish, and now we get to paint the details in there instead of a get your shit in, get over match. Like, that's the fun stuff to play with, right? So that's the real fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good.
Well, after that, we got some announcements for next week's their Fight for the Fallen television special. We're going to have the TNT Championship Open Challenge returning. Lucha Brothers taking on FTR. The Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on Jurassic Express. As well as we will have the AEW World Championship on the line with Jon Moxley taking on Brian Cage. Before we get into the main event, of course, we want to remind you can check out our sponsors. You can go to thebrosters.com, pick up your bag of Russo Bro coffee, bro. And as well as you can go to Zordo's Olive Oil, get yourself some of the finest artisan Greek olive oil. ProWrestlingTees.com/Ben Hamin/BWOStevie/SEG shirts /Greek God Papa Don. as well as you can also check out RussoBrand.com. The SD and Raw reviews up right now with Stevie Richards, Ben Hamin, Vince Russo, as well as Patreon.com/RussoTWC. That's where you can get Master Shoot Theater with Ben Hamin, Stevie Richards, and Vince Russo as well. And there's also a brand new episode of the New Force Order that just dropped. So if you're into Star Wars, check that out because apparently you guys pissed off the New Force Order and they're going to be going Patreon exclusive. So you better listen to the show to find out all the details.
Holy shit. And Goldilocks Patreon blowing up. Want to say thank you to everybody who's gone over to Goldilocks and subscribed to Sexy Locks or whatever tier you guys are subscribing to. She's kicking ass and she's very excited about it. So appreciate all that support. And actually, Olive Oil saw a story up 20% in sales across the board because of COVID-19 because everybody's home cooking. And, if you want to not cook with butter, which isn't a natural, butter gets in your, I love it. As you can tell, I'm a big fat infidel and a big fat pussy, apparently. It gets in your heart and clogs it up. And I do care about heart disease and diabetes, where olive oil leaves no trace, tastes wonderful, and actually helps clean out your system with many health benefits. So ZordosOliveOil.com as well as thebrosters.com. I appreciate two great natural farm-to-table food products from the orchard press right to the bottle and right from Nicaragua and then roasted here in New York and ground up fresh, man. They're not getting any bullshit in between with anybody and from small business owners who are living the American dream. So I love having that stuff on here, man. Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Get your shit. And since we're mentioning Patreon, I got to let you guys know I have a couple really cool things dropping this week on Superstar Wrestling Network. Patreon.com/Superstar Wrestling Network. I've got a classic interview with NXT's Dexter Lumis, aka Sam Shaw. That's just really interesting. Goes into the origins of that creepy bastard character, and now we see where that led into Dexter Lumis. Also, I have an exclusive first-time kind of interview with Phil Early. Phil Early is the guy that got into all this shit recently with Jim Cornette that blew up the media. So you get to hear from the guy behind that who has an interesting life story through trials and tribulations that most people could only couldn't imagine going through. So interesting stuff. So check that out.
Where's that again, Sil?
Patreon.com/Superstar Wrestling Network, ran and operated by yours truly.
Awesome, man.
A shout out to Dexter Lumis right now. His cameo game right now is on point where people pay for the cameos. I've been watching some of his videos. They're hilarious because he's in straight character and but he's having to wish people happy birthday. So he's like, he'll be walking down the street and be like, "Hey, Brendan, your friends wanted me to wish you a happy birthday. So I'm sending you a cameo to wish you a happy birthday." So his cameo stuff right now is really good.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, definitely check that out. All right, well, let's get into the main event. We've delayed long enough here. Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. Cassidy comes out with the best friends, takes off his sunglasses and his bloody shirt that he hasn't bleached, gives them over to the best friends, and then he goes down to the ring. Jericho comes out with Pride and Powerful. They do hang out around ringside, which will play into the match later. They definitely gave Jericho and Cassidy some time. This is about 10-15 minute match. Or it might have been longer. I think I looked at the clock and I was like, "Oh, there's 19 minutes left in the program, and they're coming out."
It takes the first undisputed champion 18 minutes to put away the gimmick pockets guy. We got a problem.
The winner of this match, I'm not going to go through everything. I'll let you guys kind of go into the wrestling aspect. But the winner of this match was Chris Jericho. Jericho nailed him with a Judas effect, and out of nowhere, after after he kept up with his hands in the pockets, and Jericho wins. Silvio, I'll let you go first, since I know you do a little bit better job of breaking down the moves and whatnot.
Sure. If you've been listening to this show, it's no secret I'm a huge Jerichoholic. Chris Jericho is one of my inspirations as a wrestler. He's as good as it gets. As a wrestler, storyteller, promo guy, he's phenomenal. That said, it was an interesting choice to structure the match the way he did. I feel Jericho wrestled this match as if he would wrestle somebody like Scorpio Sky or any other mainstream babyface whose gimmick is they're a good rising babyface, that their gimmick is they're going to be a champion. Their gimmick is they're going to be a great wrestler, a la somebody like a Bret Hart. Where we saw Jericho bumping, selling, taking all these near falls. Jericho went out of his way to get all of Cassidy's shit in and make Cassidy look really good. So I can't say Jericho doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, because he does. He knows more than I do. I'd love to pick his brain. But what I didn't want to see, and I don't think a lot of fans want to see Orange Cassidy the ass kicker. We don't buy our tickets to see him be a killing machine. If you want to see Orange Cassidy, you want to be lighthearted, you want to be entertained. Now, we could buy tickets to see Cassidy finally stand up for himself, but we don't want to see 20 moves and 50 false finishes from Orange and Jericho. I think Jericho more worked that match in a normal babyface structure than catering it to his opponent. What they did was fine, but it was too much Orange Cassidy. I've been saying it for weeks. We blurred that line. Now we don't know what he is. Is he lazy or is he a hard worker? Is he a funny comedy guy or is he a serious wrestler now? Because now he can do cool moves to everyone, and he took Jericho to the limit, big time. You know, he pretty much went over without getting the pin. So I'm a little bit confused about it. Great effort. I understand why and I want to ask you guys one thing too. I understand why they put it there. They want Jericho's star power in the main event to combat against Cole and,
Keith Lee.
So I get that. Personally, I would have liked to have seen the 8-man main event, but nonetheless, you guys remember a few weeks ago, there was some clamoring going on that the Orange Cassidy segment did some kind of huge ratings. So was that part of the plot that Jericho star power Cassidy and they wanted that match there for that reason?
And Tony Khan's got a hard on for him that he's fucking that he's put over 100 times, already. So that's why he's main event. And I didn't have a problem. Well, I did have a problem because we talked about the, blowing the gimmick. But now that we're past that and the bell rings, and he comes out with the best friends, and they hit LAX hits him with the slock, and that's the fucking heat spot. Where's the best friends to get them to fuck off? They were out there the whole rest of the time, not coming to their aid, right? That's where it goes down. And then here's what I would have booked for the finish, just to be able to save Orange Cassidy from himself, wrestling Le Champion. I would have booked Orange Cassidy up. It would have been a fucking another heat spot like that with the slock where the LAX fucking does it, switch reverse, hits Jericho, get him in the victory roll, go back, go into the back bridge, Sil. How you like this one? He does the no-handed bridge, and while he's one, puts his hands in his pockets on two, pins him 2-3 with his hands in his pockets in the bridge upside down. Jericho's fucking livid. Next week we get the fucking interview in ring. You just beat Le Champion, one of the greatest of all time, da-da-da. Orange Cassidy retires from wrestling right there. And he's done wrestling, but he's still a part of the whatever until he comes back to make his return to have a wrestling match. And we can at least get back to save it. Him beating Jericho there could have given us that out and that opportunity to get back to the game with a clean pin based off of heel heat backfiring on themselves where he doesn't have to go over strong. I liked it when he fucking ribbed his own spot with the low kick, and you think he's coming back with the sweet shin music, and then he unleashes the super kick. That was a good little switch on their spots after conditioning the audience. They did some good stuff with his games inside the match that we're used to and switching it up. But yeah, man, this could have had a better finish and gotten us back on track. Jericho up here really doesn't do anything for anybody.
It was just too much offense, I think, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see Cassidy do that much offense. And you could tell that Jericho went out of his way to get Cassidy over as a competitor.
Yeah.
Jericho's trying to do the right things for people, and he probably wanted this program. I'm sure he said to Tony, Cody, anyone else, hey, I'm going to get Orange over. Let me work with them.
Sure.
This guy got something. Let me get him to the next level. And he did that. But I like the old level.
You know what I got to say more than anything in this, and I wrote it down? She was talked to and she listened to the note. Aubrey Edwards was 10 times the referee here than she's been in any other match. All the animation and there was one time when Cassidy was taking some shit where she was kind of selling, but it was way slighter than what it was a month, 2 months ago. She's really toned it back and been, the ninja in the ring that she should be. She did kind of botch that spot where she caught him cheating. And then she goes back around and then comes back over and does the arm kick up. That was one of her things that kind of got effed up in there. But she was taken away from a lot of matches that she was in. And I think she's definitely taken the note and tightened up her game. And it was a good main event. I think as far as what you would want to book on a poster to get people to tune in, again, I think they need to protect his offense a 1,000 times more, like you're saying, man.
Yeah. What'd you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the match and everything, I mean, I've never really been high on Orange Cassidy. Since the onset, his character hasn't really appealed to me as a viewer personally. And I think that if they were going to keep him that way, I think he's, no pun intended, the oranges are spoiled now, as they've kind of killed any of his shtick. Now he's just another wrestler to me, honestly. But I mean, not saying he can't be, saved or brought back or whatnot. Anything can be, redone, right, in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, but that just sucks to have to redo it. Why don't we get it right the first fucking time? You only get one chance to make a first impression, and they just keep shooting themselves in the foot with that kind of stuff with a lot of their characters, whether it's Sean Spears, Awesome Kong, and Brandy. Like we can keep going and going with whatever it is. So hopefully they can get that in check, dude.
I'm gonna shout out Goro187 right now in the chat room. He just popped me. Why will the bloggers not speak on the true legends of wrestling, like the Shockmaster? When Sting brought him out to the cardboard Ric Flair and Psycho Sid, the wrestling industry was shaken to the core. Shockmaster has so much raw and bridled power, he literally smashed the Raw like a goddamn juggernaut. That's funny. So,
he did.
Anyway,
I mean, it's wrestle crap. I think that's another thing they should be doing, is trying to figure out how to do great wrestle crap. Wrestle crap lasts forever, a lot longer than most matches are, because they're moments. And if you can figure out in dream booking by setting things up, you will feel the stars align, and then you will see what the joke is, and you can hit it and have something there that way. AEW has a lot of opportunity, and I would be booking a wrestle crap show every Dark and maybe every other or every third Dynamite as well.
Good idea.
Well, that's it, guys. That's another edition of AEW Dynamite, your AEW Dynamite review right here on Light the Fuse. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, of course, next week, send us your email, your questions, your comments. You can send, if you want to send Instagram like audio about how we suck, I mean, we'll take that too. So send it to lightthefusehmg@gmail.com. Of course, I'm your host, the most lives on the West Coast, your boy MSG. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Matthew_Shopper. Check out my brand new episode of Suck My Balls, a South Park review. Episode number 31 is up right now with my buddies Darren and Kyle. We were at their house. We did not wear masks, so fuck you. Yeah, check that out. Ben Hamin, go ahead. Or sorry, Chris Silvio. I'll let you go, sir.
Got to say, I watched both shows. I'm giving the nod this week to AEW. It just was a little bit more exciting overall, more of a spectacle. So good job, both teams, but shout out to AEW. In my ratings war, you guys are the victor. Check me out on social media at the Chris Silvio. Chris Silvio Superstar Seminars is my coaching and development service. I'm adding, I believe, 5 new students are starting this week. So if you want to jump on with me, learn how to become a marketable presentation and, something unique that'll stand out in pro wrestling, hit me up. I'm happy to guide you. Also, my in-ring training at the Side Dojo with my good buddy, Matt Seidel. So if you want to get good at this wrestling shit and make some money, I'm happy to help do that. Cool stuff on my Patreon this week, Superstar Wrestling Network. So it's patreon.com/Superstar Wrestling Network. Catch a lot of interviews, original podcasts, some cool guests, celebrities, shit like that. So good stuff. Check it out.
Also, before you get in there, Ben, I just want a quick shout out to Keith Lee. Congratulations. He just became the NXT champion.
Yeah.
And I thought that was and both dual champion. Somebody wanted to point out they thought he was the first. That belongs to Big E. I believe Big E is the first ever NXT champion when he was doing the 5-count gimmick. But yeah, nonetheless, still doesn't take away from Mr. Lee. He's dual champion, both North American and NXT champion. So shout out to WWE for pulling the trigger on that. Go ahead, Ben.
He's not the longest reigning independent tag team champion like GGP and I are, infidels. So anybody who wants to come take the titles, come test us, and you'll get the best out of us, morons, and you'll get beat probably in under 8 minutes, because that's all I'm pulling until I get my cardio back up here. You know where it is. hackerhamin.podbean.com. As we approach 2 million downloads, infidels, send all of your hate voicemails at hackerhamin on Instagram, at bin_Hamin on Twitter, and you know where it is to keep it locked for Light the Fuse as we count it down. 3, 2, 1, explosion, infidels! Yalla!